Hello, so today I'm here with Mike from Safer Pet. Mike and I met at Crufts when I was on the Kids Around Dog stand, and we had a really good chat about his amazing product. So Mike, do you want to introduce yourself and Safer Pet and tell us all about it?
Yeah, hi, thanks Anna. Good morning to you. Safer Pet offer GPS pet trackers. We started out middle parts of last year and it was really due to the demand following the increase of cats and dogs over lockdown. I think we were saying at Crufts it's something like 3.2 million extra pets added to homes in the UK. The background for myself and some of the other members of the team here is very much in the tracking space and GPS based devices. So we know the technology, its capabilities and what it can do, but we're fairly new to the pet industry. So one of the reasons we were at Crufts is to get our name out there and speak to like-minded people like yourself and just get a feel really for partnership opportunities and who we can potentially meet up with.
Yeah, and it's a fantastic product, isn't it? So it's a tracker that goes onto your dog's collar, and well, you tell us all about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a small, lightweight device. Here's one I made earlier. And the good thing about this device actually is it's small enough to be suitable for cats as well as dogs. Other devices potentially on the market are a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier, whereas this device weighs less than a AA battery. So it's fantastic. It's getting the right balance really, I guess, between the size and weight of the device, but also keeping things like the battery life and the capabilities of the product as well. So essentially you charge this up via a charging cable. It takes about 2 hours to fully charge. It lasts for about 3 days. And once you've got it on the collar, you download an application onto your mobile phone, pair it using one of the codes on the back. And essentially you can see where your pet is at all times. So you can go in and in real time request to see where your pet is and also set up tracking frequency. So if your cat, for example, were to go out on the roam, you can see where they've gone, the route that they've taken, which neighbour they've gone to visit for extra food and things like that. So there's two very different user cases, to be honest with you. With cats, it's much more about the interest in knowing where they've gone, how far afield they're travelling. And with dogs, it's potentially more about those dog walks in the countryside where all of a sudden they see a squirrel, bound off after the squirrel and they don't come back to you. So it's very much a case of really understanding where your pet is and hopefully avoiding them getting lost and being reunited with the owner at the earliest opportunity as well.
Amazing. I'm quite impressed that you said the S word and both of mine stayed asleep because we have noticed it in our garden and I was thinking, someone's to bark. But it's actually, I mean, I know I'm dogs through and through, but I couldn't believe when we were talking at Crufts how much of an issue it is with cats and cats like going off to other people and adopting new owners.
Yeah, absolutely. So we recently actually acquired a couple of other companies as well. So we've acquired the Lost and Found services, Pets Located and Pets Reunited. And we brought on board with the previous owner of Pets Reunited as our new CTO. And he was actually saying it and explaining it was a real problem for him because he actually administers insulin for his cats and he has to have a controlled diet, etc. So obviously it's a real issue for him if his cat's going out and not returning and being fed by other people. So actually it's been really helpful to him. But he's not the first person that said about that. So there's a real issue, particularly with cats, where people do tend to want to just adopt them and bring them into the home. We all love pets, right? We love cats. And they're very, very loving towards anyone that gives them food. So yeah, it can be a real challenge. And of course, the other flip side of it is cats do get locked in garages, in sheds. So being able to find out where they are and get them back at the earliest opportunity is positive as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we said squirrels, we said cats, and they're both asleep. I'm really impressed. That means the rest of the day is going to go downhill. So in terms of the range on it, so it's not a topic any of us like to speak about, but if your dog was to be stolen or get lost, I mean, my terrier is an absolute escape artist. Even at, well, I think he's about 13 with dementia, he can still leg it when he wants to. If your dog or even your cat was to go into someone's car or to get stolen or picked up and put into someone's car, what sort of the range is on the GPS? Like, how easy is it?
Yeah, so essentially it's unlimited range with these devices. And that's one of the key aspects with this type of product is it needs to be unlimited. There are products out there like, for example, Apple AirTags. A lot of the time people ask about how good are Apple AirTags, but if you've lost them in a woodland area, for example, the range of them is a lot more limited. So that can be problematic. with these devices, they use GPS, which will work anywhere in the world, and we actually fit them with a multi-network SIM. So rather than just relying, for example, on the O2 network, it will pick up O2, Vodafone, EE, or 3. So it will actually switch between the networks. It gives you the best possible range. With the devices, they actually use Wi-Fi, but they use Wi-Fi as well as GPS for location. So if your pet has gone into a building, for example, the device will actually lose GPS connectivity because it can't see the sky fundamentally. But what it will do is it will use Wi-Fi networks to give us a location for the pet as well. So even if they've gone into somebody's home or they've gone into a shed and things like that, if it's within a Wi-Fi range, then it will still give you that range of connectivity. I guess we're starting to kind of talk about the kind of pet theft side of things naturally as well, because it's a real big issue. That's gone up so much during lockdown. I think depending on which reports you read, it's gone up anything from 20% to some reports I've read have been a lot higher than that. And it's a real issue. I know police forces are getting involved with that at the moment. One of the companies that we also met at some of the trade shows, a company called DNA Protected, they actually do DNA testing where you keep that on a database. And if the pet is found and the police can't find a microchip, for example,
well,
they
that's
will actually take a swab of the pet and actually check with the database, because you can't remove the DNA, you can't change that. Whereas, there are other factors which could be changed. So there's innovations that are starting to come through now that police forces are really starting to take a look at. And with technology and with some of the products that we're starting to now look at as well that are around anti-theft. It's going to hopefully turn a corner with regards to improving the stats around dog theft and the removing, especially those opportunistic thieves that are out there as well.
Absolutely, and it is a big worry. And the police forces, I filled in a survey not that long ago that our local police force did, and I spoke to Sian from Millenbrook, who is a dog boarding kennel like in Wales, and she used to be an ex-police force, and she was telling me sort of what you do if you're approached and things like that. But actually it's good to know there's a product out there that kind of has got your back and that you've got all bases covered with the GPS and the Wi-Fi, because like you say, it's a real worry, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're actually testing at the moment on another version of the device we have at the moment. There's some enhanced functionality around activity monitoring as well. So it starts to provide us with details around how active your pet has been, which opens up another door completely, from a partnerships point of view, and the type of data that you can collect around the pet's health and well-being, etc. But actually having a bit of a play around with that device the other day, one of the things I also found was you can set up alerts to come through to your phone, which tell you if your pet is traveling at a certain speed. So for example, you could type in there 30 miles an hour, and as soon as your dog starts to travel at 30 miles an hour, it sends you a notification. So actually, unless you've got a particularly fast pet that is a really good runner, there's a very good chance or a very high likelihood that the pet has been put into a car and is traveling. It's sometimes quite difficult, actually. I was speaking to somebody yesterday that spoke about the difference between knowing your pet has been stolen and your pet going missing. I wonder how many people have assumed their pet has run off and gone missing, but actually they've been stolen. And at that stage, there's probably a lot of thefts that go unreported and don't go to the police because people think they've just run off or they've disappeared.
That's the thing. And also, like, Facebook is a wonderful thing, as we were just saying about before we came on, but also, like, my friend's dog wandered off, and the dog was on Facebook before they could do anything about it, and she had like phone calls, and it got shared and shared and shared, and like a week later she was like, I'm still getting phone calls like off her collar and stuff, and have you seen that so and so's gone missing? And she's like, she's not missing, she's just wandered. But yeah, if you have got a dog, like, especially when they have got dementia and stuff, like, if I had one on Paddy the other day, I could have seen it actually just went across the road to poo on their lawn and drink their tea because they were sat in the garden.
As they do.
Yeah, but I live on, if you go just sort of through our like dead end bit, we're onto a main road.
Yeah.
And that's your first thought, isn't it? My first thought would have been to go to the main road, but had I had a tracker on him, I could have been like, oh, he's just there, I'll go and get him. Yeah,
absolutely. I think that's the thing, is that if your pet goes missing, they go in any one of 360 different directions, right?
Yeah.
So it's a case of knowing, and the longer it takes you, the further they can travel. I was speaking to one of our customers just the other day, and they were saying, oh, my cat's showing nearly 3 miles from my home. And I said, oh, wow, okay. And they said, oh, no, no, don't worry. That's very normal for them. My cat doesn't go any further than the end of our garden, right? So they're all different. They've all got their own, ways of traveling and preferred distances. So it's a case of, you do get to know your pet, but with this, you do find that they have particular routes that they take, that they go in a particular direction, and again, the sort of distances they travel as well. So yeah, it's very interesting to keep.
I bet I'll just sit there and I look at the data all the time and be like, oh. If your dog was to be stolen, how easy is the tracker to remove? Like if someone's, I mean, it's quite small and inconspicuous, isn't it? Whereas some of them I have seen on the market are bigger. And like on my dogs, because I've got shepherds, they're quite hairy. It's unlikely you would see it. But how easy is it to remove?
Yeah, so at the moment they're pretty easy, to be fair, if you know that it's there. I think depending on the scenario, if you've got an opportunistic thief, they may just take the pet, whether if it's tied up outside a shop or something, which we obviously don't recommend, but sometimes if shops aren't accommodating of pets and things like that. So there's that challenge. If somebody were to just say, for example, take the dog, there's a very high likelihood that they'll keep the lead and they'll keep the collar and they'll walk them, and they won't even notice that they're wearing a tracker, so it would be advantageous. If they're a kind of a career criminal with the value of pets these days, the first thing they're going to do is take the collar and lead off and ditch them. So the tracker itself at the moment is fairly straightforward to take off, but we are actually looking at anti-theft products, particularly in mind of this, because we do understand it is a real concern for a lot of people, especially in certain hotspots across the country as well, and with particular breeds of dogs in particular as well. It's not just necessarily a case of pets being stolen from outside a shop. We've heard of a lot of cases where people have actually been confronted and asked to hand over the pet, or even burglaries where people have broken into people's homes and coaxed animals out of gardens as well. So we know that there's a real concern there. So from an anti-theft point of view, we are going to have products coming onto the market in the not too distant future, which will start to really address that side of things, in addition to the kind of day-to-day tracking as well.
Oh, that's amazing, because that's it. Like you said about microchips, unfortunately they can be cut out, which is pretty disgusting thought. Horrible, but you see it happen, and you see dogs found and they turn themselves off as well, like, and they migrate around their bodies. Like I know a dog who's like, it's got it down on her leg somewhere and you can feel it. It's like a little bit of ice. But yeah, it's also really interesting because obviously as a groomer, sometimes you do get phone calls and they do set your senses going, and you think, oh, is this a genuine, is this a stolen dog? But actually, like you say, with the databases, I don't know if there's a way that it could happen, is that we'll be able to scan a dog and see that the details are correct, because at the minute it just throws up a number, doesn't it? And unless you're part of those databases, you can't see it. But that would be really interesting and also reassuring for the owners, because as well, I couldn't imagine rescuing a dog or acquiring a dog or buying a dog from someone to then find out it's stolen down the line, which I've seen happen, and it's absolutely heartbreaking because you buy this dog in good faith, which again is a whole other piece we can do on reputable dog sales and everything, but I can't imagine that happening really. So it would be good if there's a way that we can bring that together, and like groomers, walkers can reunite dogs faster as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think this again was where we started talking at the show as well about the lost and found services that we've acquired. Currently, we send out notifications to vets within a close proximity to reported missing pets. So they'll get a notification saying there's been a Labrador, this age, coloration, etc., that's been lost in your area. Please keep your eyes out. And actually, when we started talking, you mentioned about these types of calls you're getting as a groomer. It then rang alarm bells. Well, look, why aren't we extending that to groomers and other organisations as well? So that's definitely something we're starting to explore now. Really, just as you say, all the opportunities that we can try and grab to reunite people with their pets, but also make it more difficult to actually handle stolen animals as well. Hopefully, that will start to have a positive impact. But the lost and found side of things is huge, and often it's just that a pet has run away. But unfortunately, there are a lot of cases where the pets have been stolen, and being able to reunite them with their owners is fantastic. So all we can do to be able to move that forward, we'll look to explore. So yeah, it's a really interesting piece. It really ties in with the trackers as well. And we're starting to look at other acquisitions and other opportunities where it's just bringing in a more joined up approach to things. Technology is there, the functionality, etc. It's just really a case of crossing all the the T's and dotting all the I's. You mentioned about reform and things like that. Debbie Matthews, I know has long now been talking about vet skit scanning. For every vet to scan the pet that comes into them and ensure that they are microchipped, to make sure that the information is on there, that it's up to date, etc. So I do think that extends beyond vets as well. So I think as when that comes on board, hopefully that will be opened up to the wider market as well.
Brilliant. So we kind of covered the dog theft side of things and the safety aspect of it, but let's talk about like how the tracker helps with obesity, because again, obesity is something that's huge in dogs, as it is in humans in this country. But an overweight dog is obviously a dog that can then go on to have other health issues, whether it's like joint issues, heart, lung, all of that. And actually, my old Pasadale used to be overweight, quite badly overweight, and he went on quite a strict diet. And actually, it's helped him so much with his joints, and learning about sort of the canine arthritis management stuff. But how does it track the activity in terms of how active your dog is?
Yeah, so at the moment, the tracker that we've got on the market, it works as a basic Fitbit, if you like, or basic pedometer. So it tells you roughly the amount of steps that your pet has taken. So you can get a really good gauge for how active they've been during the day, whether you're at home or at work, for example. And it will also keep track of that whilst they're on their walks and out and about as well. With the new device that we're starting to bring to market, it goes beyond that and starts to talk to you about, well, within that period of activity, how much of it's walking, how much of it is running. So you can then really start to get a feel for how active your pet has been, and also then start to compare the data to previous months, and really give you an idea of, is the plan that you're on improving their activity? Are you giving them, is there weight loss conducive to more exercise or the food, etc. So it ties in a number of different ways, to be honest with you. And it will also allow us to start working in partnership with other organisations, because that data is really important. If we work with a food manufacturer, for example, and say, right, we have a dog of this breed, this age and this weight, and they are getting this much activity, what food should they be eating? Should they be having any supplements? And what portion control should they be having as well, if we're looking to maintain weight, lose weight, etc., etc. So that's definitely starting to come now, and I'm looking forward to working with other organisations and understanding how that will translate. The difficulty, of course, is that when you feed your pet, my wife's cat, we feed her, and you always follow the instructions on the packaging, right? And you wonder whether they're going to tell you to feed your cat or dog more because it's in their best interests, right? But also that portion control is a single portion control, and there's a huge variance in age, size of pets, how much exercise they're getting, etc., etc. So being able to approach that from a technology point of view will hopefully allow there to have a positive impact, not only on health, but also on well-being of pets as well. And it ties back into vets as well. So if a vet, for example, is working with a pet parent on an arthritis plan, for example, if they're providing any medication, well, okay, following on from that medication being issued, have we seen an increase in activity? Have we seen an increase in high rate, more intense activity, i.e. the running and things like that? So it makes a lot of sense. And, it's really just a case of marrying it all up and providing the information that's required.
That's amazing, and it sounds like it's really going to be beneficial. I've always been I used to work for a global pet food company, but it's so interesting, like the range of food that's available now. And like even walking around Crush, you can see you've sort of got like your cold pressed, your raw, your fresh feeding, you've got like your normal kibbles and stuff. And I'm always a big advocate that you should feed to the best of your budget. But pairing that with the activity side, actually, it could almost become a little bit more cost effective for you, to work out where you can sort of, we're all for saving money at the minute. If you can save a bit of money on your dog food by feeding a bit less and getting out a bit more, then it just makes total sense, doesn't it?
It does. Again, going back to the comparison I mentioned earlier on about the Fitbit, we monitor our own exercise, everything else. There we go. We've all got, I say all, you know, we've got smartwatches nowadays and things like that. We monitor our own sleep, we monitor what we eat, etc. You know, why wouldn't we naturally start to gravitate towards that type of technology for pets as well? It does make sense, and it's starting to become available. So
exactly.
yeah,
I mean, my Fitbit's paired with my life insurance.
yes.
So the more active I am, it keeps my premium down. If we could get something like that going for dogs, I mean, you see your insurance premiums going up like year on year. And again, if we could have like a healthy plan for dogs, that how amazing would that be? Like, could change pet ownership completely.
Absolutely, and this is where the kind of more joined up approach starts to come in. You know, the more organisations are prepared to be open to this type of partnership and what it can actually bring. Hopefully, what it really means is for the pet themselves, you know, a healthier, happier lifestyle, but also for the pet owner, more simplistic approach to pet parenting, a way that they can ensure the safety and well-being of their pet, and also, as you mentioned, to save money as well. So hopefully it's a win-win all round. So yeah, looking forward to getting it all moving forward.
Yeah, it sounds really exciting. So in terms of as well, active minutes and stuff, I mean, obviously my little old man isn't as active anymore. It's a bit sore for him to go for walks and everything, but did he used to go to hydrotherapy before he got really scared of the life jackets. So how does it act in water? Like, is it completely waterproof? I mean, he won't swim willingly, whereas my shepherds will be straight in the water.
Absolutely.
So do you need to worry about getting it wet if you have got a swimmer?
Yeah, so with the current device, it's water resistant. It does have a silicone case, so it's pretty good in kind of weather conditions, things like that. And, you know, splash proof and all that kind of stuff. With the new device, we also see the need for it to start to become waterproof, especially for dogs, of course. So the new device will be IP rated, so you can get it submerged in water for a period of kind of 30 minutes or whatever it may be. So yeah, it will definitely start to go down that route. And again, it just depends on the pet. With the new products that we're going to be bringing to market, it's slightly bigger, so it's probably going to be more focused at dogs, which is why the waterproof rating is probably more important. The existing device we will maintain because of its size and weight and what it's doing, because for cat owners it's particularly useful, and you know, cats tend to be a little bit more
reserved around water.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly that. So it really is horses for courses. It's just a case of what works. And as new technologies start to come into the market and other features and functionalities, we obviously look to explore those. That's what we've done with the previous business. Obviously, we've moved with times, and within technology, if you rest on the laurels, you fall behind very quickly. So we're constantly looking at new innovation and what we can do. And with the partnerships that we're working in, we're getting fantastic collaboration ideas coming back as to how we can work better, what the information could be used for, and what it is that people really want from a product. Because often, if you release a range of functionality and features, or does that have a detrimental impact on something else? For example, the battery life of the device. We have to make these devices fairly small, and a bit like your iPhone, for example. You charge it up. Speak to a colleague the other day. They said, "I'll charge my iPhone up 3 times a day." That's not practical for this type of product. So maintaining battery life is really important. But the functionality side of things, I think, again, before we joined the video today, we were talking about one of the things with this type of technology is making it as easy to use and simple as well. And if you can get the kind of core functionality right, and ensure that it's functional and ensure that it's reliable, then you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of like user friendliness, if you have a multi-pet household, so whether I don't know, you've got a couple of dogs or a dog and a cat, can you, obviously they'd have a tracker each.
Yeah.
Can you see that on the app? So when you download the app, can you have a multi?
Absolutely, yeah. So you can have as many pets on there as you need to. So even if you've got a whole house full, you can add them all on. And essentially, there's just a switch pet option. So you select which pet you want to look at, and it shows you their data on the map. We're speaking to a lot of dog walking businesses because inevitably they want to have visibility of the dogs just in case one of them does run off or does jump out of the back of the vehicle as they're opening up the door. But also what that allows them to do as well is that allows them to say to the pet parents that you can download the app as well, and you can also have visibility of it. So you can see that we're taking the dog out. You can see that they're getting X amount of exercise. So again, it's a win-win for both parties. It's quite reassuring to know that you know, you can share the app access, whether it be with family members, with friends, with your dog walker, whatever it may be. So yeah, the degree of flexibility is very good.
So, okay, but it's a lot, obviously, that information shared in a safe way. So like a thief couldn't download the app and just pair with different devices.
Absolutely. So when you first download the application and pair the device, you become the administrator for that device. So if somebody else scans the device, it sends a notification to the administrator, the first parent, to say somebody's trying to pair with the device. Are you happy to accept this? So yeah, it's all very secure.
Oh, brilliant.
And notifies you and keeps you in the loop with any changes that are being requested.
Oh, that's amazing, because you do, I mean, it's a trust element, isn't it, with any service provider you use. And like, as a groomer, it's an honour when people choose to use your services and they trust you completely with their pet, well, their dogs. We only do dogs. I don't groom cats. But like, they're trusting you to look after their dog, and it's the same with the dog walker. And for me, I don't trust anyone enough to walk my Princess Primrose because I know she can be a handful, and also her recall is, we're probably at 80% rather than like 99%. But that's really good to know. And you can then check in and like check that everything is okay. I mean, I'm probably the worst owner ever. I'll just sit there looking at it the whole time. But yeah, that's a really great idea, and what an amazing tool for dog walkers to be able to use. And it gives them peace of mind and the owner.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just also giving them a USP. The demand for dog walking services is going through the roof. So there are a lot of dog walkers out there. I know there are apps that you can download nowadays helping with dog walking, and there's Borrow My Doggy and all sorts of different things. So all of these have that trust element that you spoke about. And, you know, being able to say to somebody, right, I've got this tracker on there, potentially just makes the walker a little bit more aware, but also, as you say, just gives a bit of reassurance to both parties as well, that if there are any challenges, any issues, that you've got that visibility and, yeah, being able to see what's going on, which is all important. Yeah,
definitely. So as well, you mentioned there's a track and review feature. So is there like a community aspect to the app as well?
There's not at the moment. It is something we've started to talk about and talk about almost building up a bit like you get with Fitbit and Strava, I think it is on apps nowadays. So it's almost like a bit of a competition. Well, I've walked X amount of miles today, and you know, I've walked X amount. So you can kind of really start to compete, and then you can get rewards for the amount of exercise that your pet's got and things like that. There's always a bit of a challenge with any of these things, because of course, if you start to post your walking routes on social media, for example, is that then opening you up to pet theft? So there needs to be a bit of an awareness around that. So it's really important that we as a technology company are aware of the educational side of things as well. So it's not just saying, here's a tracker, this is what it does. You also might need to be aware of this. Have you thought of this? If you are starting to do X, you know, have you thought about the fact that this could also then lead on to something else? So that's really important to us. One of the things that makes us quite unique as a company in this space is that we've got a dedicated customer support team. So if any of our customers have got any questions, queries about the tracker, about the app, or just generally about the kind of services, they can call into us, have a chat with us, and we can give them a bit of guidance and advice. And often we find that we're talking to people about avoiding putting too many photos up on social media about their pet. It's so tempting, right? And we all love seeing pictures of our dogs and cats, but you know, does that then start to make you a target? So if you are starting to put things on social media, is your social media locked down to your friends, network of friends, as opposed to being open to everyone that can see it? So it's really important that as we start to develop features and functionality, that we think outside of the box of what do people want, and actually does that then have a knock-on consequence that we need to consider as well. So
yeah, and that you can get that with Strava as well, can't you? Because I have mine set to just my friends, or like, if I do go for a run, it used to be quite a good runner, but not so much anymore. I never run the same route twice. I would never ever publish a run that I did with my dog either. But it's good to know as well as a dog walker. See, this is the other side of it as well. If I'm going to do a walk, so if I saw a walk somewhere, I thought, oh, like, I would like to know sort of, is there cow fields, because I hate cows and she's not keen either, but also like what the fields like, how dog friendly is it for me as well now? Can I get a pram through?
Yeah.
So many walks that I think, oh, that looks like a really good walk for a pram, and then you can't get through the gate. You're like chucking the baby over the top. There's so much opportunity with it, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the pet industry in the UK is huge, and there's so many different products and solutions that are starting to come out that are so innovative, that talk about, I'm not sure if you saw, there was Waggle the other day on Dragon's Den that talked about basically pet friendly restaurants and venues to go to. So, you know, again, fantastic idea. We all love our pets. We want to take them everywhere with us. How frustrating is it that you get to a restaurant and find out that they're not pet friendly, or they have said that they're pet friendly, but they sit you outside in the garden in the freezing weather or in the rain? So there's apps, there's technology that's starting to come through now, which give you a bit of guidance, give you a bit of advice, and it's all about giving you the information to make an informed decision, you know, and reducing risk wherever possible. So it's great. I mean, we used to use in the previous business, we have 3 words, and I'm a massive advocate.
Love it. Yeah,
it's great. I think when I first heard about it, we talked about how, you know, it's trying to reinvent the wheel. You know, it's crazy. It's a really pointless exercise. When you start using 3 words and you see how it works, it's fantastic. It's great, whether it be for emergencies in the middle of nowhere, whether it be for courier drivers delivering something into a more remote location. It's a fantastic app. So again, it's then starting to look at, well, can we start to integrate things like that? You know, other technologies that are out there, and share details of where you are with other dog walkers to maybe meet up, for example, or to, you know, really start to look at that community aspect of things. So anything that makes it simpler and easier and gets people out and about and improves health and well-being, it's a big thing at the moment, of course, and that's not just for people but for pets as well.
It is, and I think like that's one of the good things that's come out of lockdown is people have really realised that actually there's so much benefit in going for a walk. Even when it was 1 walk a day that we could do, the benefit was there, whether it was with your dog or with just your family. But yeah, I think people have really taken back sort of the enrichment and wellbeing side of pet ownership as well, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you see on LinkedIn nowadays, I think most companies are working from home or have a blended approach of working from home, working for the office. And the amount of people that are starting to post up pictures of their pets in the office, you know, there's an element of that starting to creep through as well now. So I think it really needed to change, because we're all working however many hours, day in, day out. For those of us who have kids, not seeing our kids during the week, or seeing them for a fleeting moment at the end of the day, and in the mad rush before school, you know, so having that degree of flexibility, and also just being more conscious about it, and actually also saying, actually, I do need a bit more time with my family. I do need to go on a walk. I do need to get out and about. You know, it's really important to kind of stop and reflect.
It is, absolutely. So if people want to find out more about you and Safer Pet and the other brands that you mentioned as well, where can they go?
Okay, so Safer Pet are on a website, www.saferpets.com. And the Lost and Found services, www.petslocated.com and petsreunited.com. So yeah, feel free to reach out to us. Our contact details are on there. We're on all the socials as well, very easy to find under Safer Pets. So yeah, feel free to reach out if you have any questions and need any support with anything, or wish to discuss anything that we've covered today.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Mike. It's been absolutely fantastic talking to you, and I've learnt lots. And I'm really excited for where your product's going to go in the future too, because I think it's going to be massively beneficial to everyone, dog owners, cat owners, guinea pig owners, who knows.
Fantastic. No, thank you so much for having me. It was really great to speak to you at the show. And I look forward to keeping in touch and finding out how we can work together more in the future as well.
Brilliant. That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anne.